Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
I am actually a huge fan of Freedom and Freeze, and I'm doing Fresh Fish today. And he's one of those guys that I will almost pick up all of his games immediately upon purchase. If you put his name on the front of a box, I'll probably look at it. And it probably started with my love of Power Grid. Power Grid is one of the games that got me into this hobby. I know, not your natural and usual gateway game, but that's where I kind of started out at with a good friend of mine. And Fresh Fish was something I saw. It came in that big green box I'm used to getting, kind of the Power Grid size, and I was super excited. The artwork on it was great. It had the name of the designer I like. It was green. I liked all the things about it. Then I played it. It did not go over well. This is a re-implementation of another game, or an older game. And it's been updated and put in this box, repackaged, and resold. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is, I feel like it's antiquated. I feel like it's been done better. I don't like the take that nature of it. Now, it's not the kind of card, oh, I randomly got a card, I can take that. But there is a little bit of placing your tiles and cutting people off that go into this game. The scoring is very abstract, so you want to get as close to possible through the roads to get to the store or whatever it is. And it's just really hard to visualize that in my head, and everybody at the table honestly had a lot of trouble with it. This is one of those games that it's just, if it was a little bit more memorable, I think it would be on our Ave Caesar list, which is a list of games that my group just will not play and has become a running joke. With that said, I think there's a good game in this box. I think this is going to appeal to some people, and I'll get into that later. It's abstract. You're laying tiles, trying to get these roads, cutting people off. It's pretty cutthroat. I don't think you can play this game without being cutthroat. And when you're laying the little pieces down, you're filling it up, you're hoping to cut people off. If you're not cutthroat, you cannot win this game. You cannot. It's a pretty harsh block / take that game. I mean, you need to be as mean to your opponents as you are being nice to yourself. That's just this game. So for me, it's not going to fit a taste for me. I don't prefer those games. I don't mind a little bit of hurting the other person, but I want to be in a situation where I'm helping myself and not hoping other people hurt me. It has its moments. It's not a terrible game. I'm lukewarm on it. I'm going to purge it. I'm going to take it out of the collection. I just don't have room for it. It's not something that I'll ever want to put back to the table. The components are nice. It looks good. It has 2 ways to play it. All that is good. It's just too cutthroat for me. And maybe with the right crowd, I would like it. I don't have that crowd. I don't particularly enjoy that much either. I just think this is going to be a pass for me. I'd highly recommend trying it before you buy it, unless you just know you like it or you look at it like, wow, this is my type of game. But for me, Now, I do like the brightness of some of the bits. The artwork in it is really good. I like the look of it. The box is way too big for what it is, and I'll show you that in the components. I mean, it could have been a lot smaller, but in the size of the box almost is a detriment to it, not only because you have to store it, but because it brought illusions of Power Grid up to me, and this game is nowhere near as good. It's not to me. It just isn't. It's not saying it's a terrible game. It's not terrible. It's good, not great. With my collection, I need to keep great in it. So I think this is going to appeal to some people, but not for me. Try before you buy. Fresh Fish by Freedom and Freeze. It comes in those big Power Grid type boxes. I'll open up and show you what you get. You will get a very colorful rule book. What's important to note in this one is there's two types of games. You always get the variant for the classic version, but the majority of the rules made up is the new version. You are going to get a few of these modular boards that will be made up to make the game. Very colorful, very easy to use, and the icons are there. I'll show you more of those in the flow of the game. You're going to get a number of these trucks and the different colors. You have to sticker them yourself, so mine look terrible. You're going to get a number of tiles. These are kind of your normal Carcassonne type tiles. They might be just a tad undersized, perhaps, but they look and feel very, very good. So no complaints with the components in that regard. You're also going to get some different tiles that have like icons on them that you can use to build. Those will make more sense when we actually play the game. And then you also get a number of wooden pieces. These are pretty cool looking, but rather bland by today's standards perhaps. But they look really nice, and they're nice wood pieces. You're going to get a number of pieces in each color. You get these tiddlywinks, which are incredibly cheap. And then once again, everything you're having to sticker it yourself, so it won't look as good as normal. The box is way too big for what it needs to be, which is going to bother some people. It is a beautiful box. I mean, it does have like artwork. If you want to call this an insert, you just kind of set your game inside of it. It's way too big for what it needs to be. But those are the components for Fresh Fish. Very, very good. As for the rules, you're going to get a regular rule book here. It's going to be in full color, plenty of pictures. You can see the game set up. It all looks really nice. You got pictures of the components and what they are, which is a huge plus for me. The rules in this game are minimal. There's not a whole lot of rules to it. Now, because it's abstract, the rules don't make thematic sense to you. Where, if I said baseball and you hit the ball, you run the first, you kind of know that already. That's where your player should be going. Or if you're in a war, shooting your enemy, that makes sense. And this, it's all like, okay, I can do this, but I can't do that. If you do this, you fill up this block. Okay, and it does have the classics. What they've done is they take Fresh Fish and they made a new game, or at least with some updated rules and stuff. But they allow you to play the classics. So if you ever played Merchant of Venus through Fantasy Flight, it has the classic version and the newer version. So you can play either version that you want. I prefer the newer one, but what do I know? I mean, fans of the old one probably love it. It's in this box, so you can get either one you want. Fresh Fish rules, I had no problem with. First of all, to set up the board, you're going to have a number of these tiles that you will use per player. In this case, I'm going to use 3 for a 2-player, but there is a chart in the box or in the rule book that tells you what you should use per player. So the first thing you do is place one of these parking lots on the outer of the board, and it has to be one with a 1 on it. You will put the matching truck on the matching tile, like so. And then you will fill up the rest of the area with these generic path tiles. Like so. I'm going to kind of go through each of the actions and show you what you can do. So you take one of these wooden circulars, and you can place them on the board and reserve a spot. It always has to be next to, adjacent to a path. That could be any of these paths that you want, and you just place your marker there and you reserve the spot. The second action you take is drawing one of 2 tiles. I'm going to show you this one first. This is a flea market tile, and what you have to do if you draw a flea market tile is you have to go to a spot that you have reserved, and then you have to place a flea market on it. And the flea market is going to be these little brown pieces that I showed you in the components section. And what you're going to do is you're going to use this really to block other people, so you can block their paths to where they're going. The other one you can draw is a stall tile. Now, when you draw one of these, it will be auctioned off, and only people who haven't placed this one yet you're going to have a stall of each color. So in this case, I have the blue left, so I could bid on it. If I had already placed this on the board, I could no longer bid for it. And what you're going to do is take how much you want to bid one time, unveil it, highest bidder gets it. If you don't have a reserve spot, you put it outside the bidding or outside the area, which will kind of penalize you later. But if you have a reserve spot on the board and you won, you would take the reserve off and put your stall there. And that's how that works. Now what you're looking for here is this can only have one tile there. So because that one tile is there, this automatically fills up with path spots. And that's something you really want to take into consideration, because what you're trying to do, let's just pretend like there was a tile here, you want to get the shortest path you can from your stall to the truck. So you want to see, this isn't here yet, so somebody could come in and block this if they wanted to. Then I'd have to go all the way around or down this way. So that's kind of how that works. And that blocking and making people build around is a huge part of this game. It is very vicious in this way. Now at the end of the game, everybody's going to score their paths and how far away it is to each stall. And you're going to get points, and there's a scoring system that's involved. Now if you were outside the path, or you had to go outside, it's going to cost you a lot more. And there's a maximum. So in a 2-player game, the maximum tiles you can use is 8, in a 5-player game, 14. But it's going to be very vicious where you're placing this, and you're reserving spots on the board, and how much you're auctioning for these things. Because if you wait a long time, you get to put this out cheaper because nobody else is going to be bidding on the fish one, but your placing is going to be worse. So you can really get hosed on that. So it's very hard to see ahead in this game, and it does take a lot of mathematical calculations in your head, and it can cause a lot of analysis paralysis, and it's very abstract and very thinky and very mathy, if you will. But that's Fresh Fish. Who should buy this game? Probably hardcore fans of Freedom and Freeze. You are going to want to have, or an enjoyment of, games that have a lot of blocking and take that, where you're hurting your neighbor as much or as equally important it is as helping yourself. That's a certain type of game. So that's what this is. It's pretty cutthroat. You can make some enemies quickly in it. You can also fall out of contention pretty early. Although I think you can make your way back if you're smart. This is one of those abstract games, and to me this game is just completely abstract. The theme is just painted on there like it's nothing. You're gonna have to like that minimize, maximizing. I think it can lead to a lot of analysis paralysis also. I think it's gonna turn some gamers off. And this is the kind of game that I don't enjoy. So from my standpoint, me sitting here today telling you about this game, I have to say try it. Don't just run out and buy this game, which you may have. It's been out for a while. Maybe you haven't heard of it, because it doesn't seem like Freedom and Freeze games get the pub that some other games get. I don't know if it's just because I'm a big watcher of like the Dice Tower and stuff like that, so they don't get Freedom and Freeze games, but I don't see a lot of push behind them. You know, Power Grid is his big one. Sometimes I think when you make that big game like Ticket to Ride with Alan Moon, your newer ones don't get the pub that they get. I don't hear, oh, the next Donald Vaccarino game is coming out, like I would like the next Spielberg movie is coming out. So Freedom and Freeze made a great game. He's made great games in the past. This is one that I don't like, but I don't like this style of game. If it appeals to you, then you know exactly who you are and whether you're going to like it or not. And that's really what we're here for. For me, it's a definite Purge.